Welcome to Generation Dragons, episode 72. Steve, how are you?
Clint, I'm good, my man. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Cheers.
Ching ching.
Dink.
Dink. Finish off the little bit that I have in here.
It's a warm beer.
So
But anyway, man, why don't you thank everyone for watching?
Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks all that, the usual stuff. Thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Appreciate it. You watching the shows from the past as well as listening to us, because I know we have one or two listeners still. So please keep listening if you're not watching us. But yeah, so Steve, you and I have talked about it in the past. We've got some of our viewers, our listeners, that partake in this event. But I just want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and
D&D, baby.
I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
My first play through with yourself and Jake and a few others. So Steve, I don't know if how you want to go about it.
I'll kick it off. I got some questions from the ultimate amazing chat GPT. Hey, I said it right that time. But also some from Jake, who was talking to him to get an idea. But I'm pretty new to the game myself. I've always played tabletop games as well, and different. But I never actually played D&D. I played games like Attack Wing, X-Wing. Anything like Command and Conquer, Axis and Allies and things, but never played D&D. It's just something I never got to. I started up with these guys through my mutual pal with Jake, Mitch. He reached out to me, asked if I want to try, and it worked out pretty good. The guys started watching our videos, and then asked if you wanted to join, and then I know you're into fantasy, so it seemed like a perfect fit. That said, all behind us, what was your first experience like? And before you get into that, why did you want to play?
Well, like you said, Steve, D&D has been around since the 70s. It's always been interested me. I'm definitely a big high. I say I'm big high fantasy as I have Star Wars stuff behind me, but just above that and just to the side is all the Lord of the Rings and all those types of books. But so it's always been an interest. I do have some friends that did dabble in it, but we never actually got together to play. So I was always, when just you started talking about, that's it. Always curious on stuff, and to be able to play, they get a chance when you get the invite, and you guys said, hey, was Clint interested? I was going to jump on that because again, I'm a high fantasy type of person. I love that type of style.
I just kind of figured you're a natural fit actually for this.
The games most of my games I play, any of the RPGs, I spend more time playing the fantasy games than I do like sci-fi. So it's just, I'm not talking video games, not board games or tabletop or anything like that. So yeah, that's it. That's just and that's now
interesting point, because I'm definitely more sci-fi. And we started the first time I played with the boys, we started with Shadowrun instead of D&D, which plays very similar on that, but then we came back to D&D. They're more, I think, into the D&D experience. It's kind of where they grew up, and I'll hear an earful if I get any of this wrong, but at the risk of getting things wrong, we're playing version 3.5 with modified rules, where gold is mainly what you measure to level up.
Right.
And I believe Jake gives us a little bit more fortune favors the bold, pushes us along a little further, faster. And he's got a few other modified rules. One I really like is inspiration. And that if you do something amazing, a roll of 20, you get an inspiration, and you can use it to get something, or to re-roll, or to pass it to another player to get the team to work. And I really like that. When I first started playing, I played very cautiously because I didn't really understand, and I didn't want to die. And now it's kind of a little bit like no, let's go, let's fight, let's kill, let's do it for Cord.
Yeah, my first time played there this past weekend, I was like, why are we not destroying this city? It's tied by a rope.
In the beginning, I was always worried because Mitch plays very aggressively. And I'm like, he's gonna get us all killed. He's gonna do this. I'm like, go bite that person because he's a vampire. And long story short, I'm just like, he's gonna get us killed. He's gonna die. He's gonna do it. But so far, he's managed to do all right, and he's really progressed us. And then I'll get into a little bit later why I picked a paladin like I did, and it has a little bit to do with Rick, one of the guys who plays. Picked a half giant, which was already big, and I like to play like big, upfront or aggressive kind of bash up characters. I don't like to be back. Yes. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let's kind of get back to questions for you.
I mean,
why did you pick your character, man? And tell everyone what it is.
Yeah, so I'm a gnome, rock gnome wizard. So, I mean, I'm usually, when I play any sort of fantasy games, I always usually either create a gnome or a dwarf. So I picked gnome this time around. And I usually am a paladin or I do warrior and then a wizard. So it's kind of like in between the three. So I'm always one of the either two extremes or the paladin that's kind of in the middle. I just now I looked, Jake was kind enough to kind of build my character to fit in with the rest of the group as a leveling and all that stuff, and I didn't have to start at the very bottom, which is great. And then also kind of the backstory of how I was introduced into the group was great too. I appreciated that one.
I didn't see that coming actually. I just thought this was gonna. Anyway, I don't want to go off tangent.
Yeah, but I mean that's really what it is. Like it's the characters I've always picked. Like I either go like I like to help people or go and be destructive. So that's kind of picking a wizard can be one or the other or both sometimes. So
yeah, it's good. So just a little bit more of my character, because I just said I was a paladin. I'm a Warforged paladin, so a little bit different. And actually, I'm actually right here. One of the guys in the group, Ryan, has a 3D printer, and he printed out all our characters. Clint, you just missed that.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I look like.
Sweet.
It's probably about my height too. Actually, he's taller than me, but it is what it is. So,
about your height in real life, you mean?
Well, then it'd be a monster, of course. So.
Yeah.
But let's get back on track here. So, what did you think of the actual gameplay, the way we played, and like how, like when we got there, it always takes a while to get going and get started and then recover the story. I find one of the faults of the way we play is it's a big gap, and often sometimes the booze doesn't help. Like, oh yeah, because by the end of the night, I forget half of what happened at the beginning, and I'm like, I know the story, and then at the end, I'm like, whose turn? What's going on? My turn? No. But long story short, what did you think of the game in a nutshell? The way we
I mean, I for a first time is definitely it gave me the itch. I mean, all I've been doing is looking at D&D stuff, like trying to learn more about it. I downloaded the D&D app on my phone, D&D Beyond, to kind of like look into that stuff. I'm gonna go pick up my comics and go pick up some dice. So it's all that. Like I'm just railing to go. But yeah, I mean, I liked it because it's just a bit of the story. There's some visuals that Jake, our DM, threw up, and the only thing I think for me is some of the stories or part of the story, like things would happen and it would just be additional visuals. I know you and I were talking a little bit before about throwing on tables and action figures and all that stuff. I'm okay with that, but also you're right. Like I think everyone else was kind of saying, it kind of then limits how it's going to go and how the story kind of leads.
Yeah. So let me touch on that a little bit because I kind of am on the same boat. I had it in my head when I first started playing. It was going to be on a tabletop kind of thing. In my infinite wisdom, I thought it was going to be like Fireball Island meets custom add-ons, and then you'd move around and follow a map. The way Jake does it, and he uses a TV or a monitor to show the map where we are, moves things around. you'll dry erase marker and add things, so it's very visual. But I thought it was going to be figures and stuff, and as you can see, I'm like, that's my thing. But to your point, like, yeah, some of the stuff that he brings up, if it was already planned, it's easier. You can like we were saying earlier when Mitch's character went off to another area, like you got a picture of that so we could kind of visualize it, and stuff. And I get that's very hard when it's on the fly, but if you already know about it and you already have it ready to go, that'd be pretty cool because it's like, and then this happens, and then kind of thing. But
yeah. But I mean, for the first time playing, like I said, I'm waiting for the next one. I'm waiting for the invite, the group chat invite, so I can be part. I'll
get you on there. I was just giving you guys time to get to know each other, but yeah, I'll get.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's always just been something I've always wanted to do, and it's good to be playing with experienced people who want to play with someone willing to try, like someone new, right? Mm-hmm. And then leaning into love, like, okay, we kind of have the rules, but we'll let it fly for now, type thing. So I really enjoyed it.
I can tell too when we play when our DM is trying to get us to go a certain way or something to happen, but the roll of the dice aren't going the way he wants it. Like what we roll.
yeah.
And you're like, but what if this happens? And then we roll the dice. Yeah, no, you're screwed. And then he eventually has to give up. All right, let me look at my list of questions here. What was the most challenging part, you think, about trying to learn to play so quickly first time? Like, I know for me what my hardest part was, but what was it for you?
So for me, the hardest part was just, I knew what the dice was for, but it's like, okay, what does, what do your abilities do? How does it help with the dice roll? What does this do? What does that? And that's really what it is, right? It's just understanding that back end piece of like, okay, so if I have, I don't know, D6, and with the +2 and all that, you know what I mean?
Maybe like just roll 2 D100s. I'm like,
yeah,
I have a dice that does 100, but then it's the 40 and the number. I'm like, oh, okay, but
yeah,
like that, it's a little bit,
exactly.
A little bit getting used to.
That's what I mean. So just I think it's going to come with experience, and like I said, I'm reading through what I can for free for now, and just trying to learn it. What about you, Steve? What was your?
So you kind of got me back to a little bit about what I was trying to say earlier. One of the things that gets me is because of the length of time we play. Like when you're a kid, it was easier to get together more often, play. You start to memorize things, but we have 2-week gaps or more when we play, and so by the time I get there, I've already it's out of my head, and then I have to start reassessing and try to memorize. Like, I have these spells, these abilities, and this and that. I'm actually starting to get to the point where I'm actually starting to retain it, which is good because now I can actually, this is what I want to do. Where before I was always leaning on someone to tell me what to do, what I can do. Yeah. And then looking on the chart, I just don't know where to go for things. I'm starting to pick that up now. Honestly, I think it'll be another couple of months at least before I really get solid at it. But I think that'll make the game flow a lot faster. The guys are really hand holding us, and I'm glad they are with this. But I could see them how long is it gonna take for these guys to figure for me anyway to figure shit out? But and I so look forward to it when we go and just getting it and let's roll. I want to roll some dice. But by the time we actually roll, it's like I've already been here 3 hours. Let's roll.
So, I'm already 6 beers deep. I can only hold so more.
All right.
So I mean,
for me, I didn't mention what my hardest thing is. So the hardest thing for me when I first went in is understanding the whole lore and where everything fits. I don't know all those characters. Like in the beginning, I was saying I'm a more sci-fi guy, where you're more a fantasy guy, but we both like that same kind of elements and kind of stuff, just on other ends of the spectrum. And so for me, when I was coming in, I think I was a little bit more comfortable with Shadowrun versus D&D.
Yeah,
with dragons and this and that, and I'd rather psychic abilities, sci-fi weapons, that kind of stuff. But it's really the same thing, just on different planes. So
yeah.
so
Yeah,
but that was
I mean, yeah, which is exactly. I mean, good point that you brought up there about the knowing your character, knowing the spells, because now that I'm reading more about like the process behind it and stuff like that, it's like literally anytime you talk, you almost have to roll and you have to leverage what you have. So it's like, okay, so if I'm invisible and I want to do this, I have to like, you have to be in your character and be that.
Yeah.
That's the type, right? It's the whole like, it is literally fantasy. It's in your brain, right? So I missed all the backstory that you guys.
You did, and Jake is really good at like getting in character and changing his voice. And you missed Jimmy. I wish you knew Jimmy because he died before you got there, and we tried so hard to save his life, and we just could not roll for everything we did. Like, and Jake even gave us extra chances, and now he's like, "Sorry, guys." Jimmy's like, like done. But anyway, Jimmy was like this little. I don't know if he was a dwarf or an elf or whatever. He was originally like the ship's cook, and he was like a great locksmith and all this stuff. So we used him to get in and do things, and then he got killed because the DM rolled like a crazy dice, if I remember right. Might be remembering wrong because of the drink, but all I know is that Jimmy died. I didn't want him to die, and we tried to resurrect him. We failed there too. So it's like, but you missed Jimmy. But the other one that you haven't met is the automaton, the construct automaton that. Trying to think, with his big sword that got broken apart or now enchanted. I'm gonna have to put a little blip in here. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but they are cursed, and they're attached to Rick's character, the half giant, right? And he took it and broke the sword in half, and all of a sudden they became like Kratos swords, and they're stuck to him. They still haven't done anything bad. Probably shouldn't say this because if Jake, the DM, watches this, he'll remember. Oh yeah, I gotta screw around with them now. With
yeah.
Curse.
Thanks, Steve.
Right, but
yeah. No, I mean, again, I enjoyed myself playing. Like I said, I'm looking forward to playing again. I mean, the way we played, I enjoyed it. Again, it's hard to. For a first time, it was enough for me to jump and want to jump back in. Yeah, I mean that's it. I think that's really it. I just wanted to really chat about our first experience with D&D on this episode, Steve. Like I think that, and you know what? I think we're pretty much there. I don't know if we need to keep going.
No, I think it's something I wish I'd done when I was younger, and I think you're in the same boat.
Oh yeah,
I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really happy the guys are so welcoming. So, here's 100%, to the boys.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers. On that note, we should probably wrap it up because we're just wasting air. And
now we're just babbling on. And whoever has survived this long, thank you for paying attention and staying tuned. If you've played D&D or enjoy D&D, leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Which version are you playing? Are you playing 1, the OG? You playing 5? You playing somewhere in between? What are you playing? Anyway, Steve, or as the merchant from Resident Evil 4 would say, what are you buying?
What are you selling?
You make me think of how Jake does. Before we go, cheers to Jake, Rick, Ryan, and Mitch, and ourselves.
Yeah,
just because we're here.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers. Thanks, guys. Dink. And yes, Steve, as always,
keep collecting,
keep gaming,
and
keep safe.
Dink. Dink.